folks, it's J.W.Haynes, and I'm here with a good friend of mine, Randy Webb, and he is a United States Army veteran that has been through a lot in regards to, I'll let him tell you about it, but in regards to homelessness and this and that and other. And basically, Randy, it's one of those things, man, that, a lot of people don't understand veterans to a certain extent, that have been through, especially combat, And that being the case, tell me a little bit kind of about, how your demons kind of arose as far as the PTSD and stuff, and,
Well, a lot of it came out back when I was having problems and stuff like that. Then I went to figured the bottle would help.
Right.
All the bottle did is just intensify all the demons and all that. And I was always told, fight your demons. You need to write stuff down, go through it, and make a positive out of negative.
Right.
That's why I've learned in life, even after my went homelessness and all that. And I got the right people to get in touch with me to get me in the right track, to talk with doctors and stuff like that. Once they got me on medication, I was able to wean me off the alcohol and all, which I thought would help me. But the thing about the alcohol is your problems are still there the next day.
Well, that's what I want to stress. Folks, I'm a veteran. I've been around a lot of veterans. I help any veteran that I can at any time. And that being said, what he's saying is definitely true, because what happens is we deal with it ourselves. So, a veteran is one of the last people that are going to ask for help. I mean, we were told, get out there and do it. Don't ask any questions. And so we're not used to asking help. We're just used to sucking it up and going on. And, give me a little idea. You went, how long were you self-medicating? And when I say that, that's what veterans do, unfortunately, is self-medicate.
Yeah.
Whether it be drugs or whether it be alcohol or wherever, trying to escape the problem that they're having.
Right. I was basically homeless for close to 5 months or better.
Right.
Until I finally got in touch with different places. And when you're on the streets, you get a different mentality of what life's about.
Right.
Once you're homeless, and you learn that things in the real world is a lot better than being homeless. And once you get homeless, you're looking for that certain secret, how to bypass everything. And that's where I got in touch with certain people to get me on the streets.
Now that was VA, right?
That was the VA that helped me out, Phoenix House.
Right.
I don't know if I should mention names, but Dr. Manure and all them. If they put you in the right track, you need to stay on that right track. You can't think you're going to get off that track. Well, I mean, it is in a straight, narrow way. If you don't get on that track, you go back to the booze and the pills, and all you're doing is upsetting whatever good you've done. So if you stay on your medication and stuff like that, and go out to the doctor and get out there and reach, if you want the help, you need to go get it. Like J.W.Haynes said, soldiers are used to taking it.
Right.
And the thing of it is, once you take it for so long, then when you explode, that's when the trouble's going to happen.
That's right.
So to all you other veterans, try to seek help. I know you're probably used to the way your life is, but get out there and try to get the help and stay on the right track, and that will help you there, brighten the whole, let's put it this way, to open a whole different door for you.
Right. Well, and one thing, Randy, is you were talking about Dr. Monera. She, I'd done a little search, and she's kind of the cutting edge, leading edge kind of at the VA in the United States to a certain extent, because she's got a mobile bus or whatever you want to call it that's completely mobile, where she can go down to the homeless shelters, the Salvation Army. She actually goes to the homeless where they're at under bridges and stuff, And so it's a great thing that she's doing there in Oklahoma City, and I really appreciate her. I really appreciate the program that they're working on, And I love seeing this, because when I saw you a couple of years ago, that's one reason I brought you in. When I met, when I saw him a couple of years ago, you were kind of like, it was kind of poor Randy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People walked around and they were kind of like, yeah, there's Randy, And a lot of people, I think, a lot of people doubted whether or not you were going to get yourself together.
There was a lot of doubt because the way I was showing, I was doing the same, repeating the same thing over and over again, getting down the wrong track.
Right.
But then eventually I talked to the right people and got on the right medication, and all of a sudden my eyes opened up and said, hey, there's a better life, a lot better life. You need to get out there and get you a job, be positive in life.
Right.
And the bottle and the booze and the pills and all that stuff just ain't the right track to go. Everybody's sitting back there thinking it's the right thing.
Well, and let me say this, Randy, from what I know, a couple of years ago, you were getting, like, I don't know, it was $500 and something a month in VA, and that's all you had to live on. All you had to live on.
Right.
And thank God that he finally got 100% disabled. But that being the case, he earned every bit of it. And, you should be 100% disabled for what you went through. You've still got shrapnel and everything else in your body. And, from a classified firefight. And it's one of those things that, he's talked to me some about it. And that's why I wanted to bring him in, is because I wanted to let him say what he wanted to say to the other veterans out there. One thing that I do, and I know you do because we talk about it all the time, is, if we see, and I want to ask y'all folks, if you see a veteran out there and he's standing on the corner, if you see a guy standing on the corner, or a lady standing on the corner, and they're holding up a sign, you see them all the time. Ask them if they're a veteran. If they're a veteran, suggest that they go down to their closest VA facility, because they will help them. They have a whole deal set up to where they have social workers, the whole 9 yards, to help get these people off the street. Now, is it as good as it could be? No, but it's a lot better than it used to be. But Randy, I want to let you know, brother, I'm very, very proud of you. And yeah, you have. And folks, he has come a long, long way. Randy, one thing I want to get across, or I'd like to try to get across here, is the fact that, PTSD and the things that we all saw and stuff, they're a big, important part of our mental health. And, the VA is working towards that. There's going to be I'm sure a ton of firefighters out there, policemen out there. I don't want to leave anybody out, but of course, military and that sort of thing. And that have seen a lot, and you can't, if you're like me, thank goodness they squared me away, a couple of years ago. But if you're like me, Randy, I would wake up in the middle of the night and the whole bed would be wet, from a cold sweat. And then I'd be sitting there and I'd wake up, and when I woke up, I'd have a nightmare, and it would be pictures. I would see pictures. It wouldn't be, or not a picture, but I would see an image. Is that kind of the same kind of stuff that you were going through to a certain extent?
To a certain extent, yeah. Things that I went through that didn't even contain to military experiences. Like one time that I had a dream in the back of my mind while I was drinking real heavy back in the day. And I was like him, I'd wake up in cold sweats and stuff like that.
Well, and one thing I'd like to say is, in my opinion, most veterans with PTSD, I don't care how severe it is, as long as it's not real, real bad, we're not violent people.
No,
the PTSD makes us go in and deal with our body, and our mind deals with it, I guess, in our subconscious. Saying that, Randy, when after I got out, what happened to me, man, I'll tell you what, about a year after I got out, I started having panic attacks, and they were very bad, And so mine went from anxiety and panic attacks over 30 years, and it flipped to a depression, so to speak.
Right.
The anxiety kind of went away. It's not near as bad as it used to be, but then I had to battle the depression part of it. And so thank goodness I'm doing well now, and thank goodness you're doing well now. But there's so many veterans out there that need help, and they want help, but they don't know how to ask for it. First of all, they really don't know how to, because you got the chain of command and everything else. And I mean, you know, what are you going to do? Go to your first sergeant and say, hey, first sergeant, I'm having mental problems. I'm having PTSD problems. And I hate to laugh about that. But, you know, I mean, it's one of those things, that's what we were taught. And so, you know, we were taught to keep your mouth shut, cover down, face forward, go about your business, go do your mission, you know. I greatly appreciate you, Randy, and I greatly appreciate how far you've come. I look forward to seeing you on your path to recovery and staying on that recovery, and I believe you will. And I greatly appreciate you coming in today and you know, talking to the veterans out there and letting them know that, you know, you're not the only one. I know that when I faced it, that was the biggest relief to me, was being around other veterans and knowing I wasn't the only one. You know, it's the same story pretty much with about all veterans and PTSD and that sort of stuff that makes us self-medicate. You know, everybody has, don't get me wrong, it's a little different story, but it's pretty much the same in a lot of ways. I wanted to go in and ask you about a couple of things. I've mentioned it in the podcast, you know, in the prior podcast, but I wanted to get your opinion on, for instance, what's going on with the colleges and these kids demonstrating and stuff. You know, who knows whether or not they're American citizens, who knows whether they're not. You know, that, I mean, my opinion on that was, if you don't like it, here, leave.
The thing of it is, the kids nowadays, or the way we was raised, why protest and cut down what's so good?
They got that.
They got it so good here, and the thing of it is, the younger generation is so lazy that they don't want to get out there and try to earn what they can do.
Right.
I understand college is expensive.
Right.
But you need to get out there, get your job, pay, you know, work, pay, get up every day and do the same thing over and keep on fighting that a little bit at a time, and you will get there. It just takes a long time, and people demonstrating from people in another foreign country, we don't know what's going on behind them over there. We don't have no idea what their politics go on. All you do is see stuff on TV. You ain't there. You ain't got your foot on the ground to see what they're going through.
Exactly right.
And then when they get over here, then they want to protest everything over here. Basically, if you don't like it here, go back to your country you come from.
That's exactly right. And I agree totally. My opinion on that, Randy, and this is the way I see it as a veteran, you need to earn the right. You need to earn the right to protest. And when I say that, don't just be gossiping and protesting about something that you don't really know anything about, you know, or don't be getting on the bandwagon of this and that. You know, I mean, and that's what they do. You know, you look at things and we have become a country of pretty much sheep. And so it's just one of those things that we've become a society of listening to whatever news that may be spun in whatever way they want us, you know, put it in. But I'm not here for that, you know. I'm here to try to ask the questions and try to get the questions answered in regards to a lot of stuff that, you know, that's on the news, and it's on the news because it's getting ratings so that they can make more money and pay more money, have people pay more money for commercials. And it's all about the dollar, you know, and it's sad. It's time to put the United States back on the map, and President Trump is right in the middle of trying to do that. You know, it is a very difficult thing to do.
See, a lot of it is we're helping other countries.
Right.
The thing of it is, we got more people here that need to help, and they're helping other countries. Why don't you help our own people?
Hey, amen, brother.
Right there. That's the key thing, to help our own people to do what's right. You know, instead we're helping Mexico come over here. All these people coming over here, they're getting more money. We got people living here that are struggling day to day, trying to make it. And you figure a man that has a family, a wife and kids, and he's struggling, barely making a dollar to whatever it is. That's what we got to do, to help our people.
That's it.
Instead of helping other countries and stuff, help us.
You're exactly right. Well, I'm J.W.Haynes, and I want to say, you know, I greatly appreciate Randy being here. Once again, his name's Randy Webb, United States Army veteran. I greatly appreciate him being here. I greatly appreciate him sharing his story with you. It's real, folks. After this podcast, do me a favor and just pull up to somebody whenever you see a homeless person, just ask them, are you a veteran? Not all veterans are going to qualify. I will say that. But, if you are eligible for health care benefits, from what I'm told, the VA will definitely help you. They want to help us, but we have to want to help ourselves as veterans first. And that's what it's about. Not becoming a recluse or anything like that, and not trying to hide, and self-medicate. Please, if there's just one veteran out there that listens to me or listens to us, listens to this podcast, or if there's one veteran family member, friend, whatever it may be, and this hits home, get them to the VA. All you got to do is take them to the emergency room. They'll handle it from there. Social worker, whole 9 yards. I will say they probably saved my life.
Well, it definitely saved mine. Got me on the right track.
And that's what it's all about. People can say all they want about the VA, but it's changed a lot since basically the PACT Act. And so if you haven't looked into whether or not you're available, whether or not you're eligible for your VA and health care and stuff with the PACT Act, go in and see. Go in and ask. That's the only way you're going to find out is if you go and ask questions. Anybody feel free to reply, and I'll be more than happy to answer you the best that I can or send you in the right direction. That's what it's all about. I'm not going to leave a man on the battlefield, leave a man behind. And I feel like that's what we're doing with these veterans, these homeless veterans. I feel like every time I see one on the street, I feel like we're leaving them behind, and I feel like that's, I know that's wrong.
That's how we've been trained. Fellas, we don't leave nobody behind. That's
sure.
One thing about we've been drilled on it. That's where we've been trained, and we don't do it. Because I don't know how many veterans when I was going through my stuff, I joined classes, and other veterans I got out there and grabbed a hold of a few of them. Few of them I probably saved their life. But then if you don't, as a man and a soldier, if you don't, it's hard to do. Believe me, I know it's like putting your pride down. Sometimes you gotta let that pride down to get help. That's basically what it is.
Exactly right. But anyway, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank Randy again. I want to thank the VA. The VA, they're doing awesome things. And, I look forward to helping more homeless people and going at it in whatever direction we need to go in to get these ladies and gentlemen that fought for our country. And, just because you don't see a broken leg doesn't mean that they don't have the PTSD or something. That's the bad thing about it. We can't see it and we can't fix it. And so you've got to come. I had another veteran, Randy, that I've talked to in depth and spent lots of time with and everything else, trying to get him to understand they're there to help you. You have to let them help you. You have to go in and you have to tell them the truth. You can't hold anything back. You got to get it all out there or they can't help you. It's like I was saying, it's not like a broken leg or a broken arm or something to where you go in the emergency room and they go, oh yeah, we're going to fix it. When you go in the emergency room and you're coming off of homelessness or you're having PTSD problems or whatever it may be, what they're going to do is they're going to listen to what you say because they can't go into your brain and say, well, this is what he's thinking right now. You've got to be honest with them, folks, and tell them how you're feeling, what you're doing, and please do it before something tragic happens. And that's pretty much what we got for today. I just wanted to say one more time, if you see a vet somewhere and they look homeless, just ask them, are you a veteran? And then the second thing is, thank them for their service. Because I picked up this cap the other day, and it reads, if you love your freedom, think of vet. And that's about as honest as you can be right there,
Right about that.
Because there wouldn't be any protests going on. There wouldn't be anything going on if there wasn't for veterans. And that goes back a long time. And so anyway, I'm J.W.Haynes. I hope everybody has a good day today. And I greatly once again thank Randy for coming in and wish him well. That's about it for this episode. If you like watching the podcast, if you enjoyed it, please like me or thumbs up on me, and we're going to bring you a lot more. I'm J.W. Haynes. God bless America and God bless John Wayne.